All Noise Radio.
Powered by Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Are you the police?
No, ma'am. We're musicians.
All noise, all the time.
What are you afraid of, Tony? Honest? Yeah, honest.
He's all wrong for us, baby. I saw you beat that man like I never saw no man get beat before, and the man kept coming after you. And we don't need that kind of man in our life.
Live from the CSB studios in Stratford, Connecticut on All Noise Radio, simulcast on allnoiseradio.com, and podcast on the Zuki and Ruggs Show YouTube channel. We are bringing you an epic, spectacular, mega show. Under the lights, we come to you again from Stratford. And this Monday evening in the fall, beautiful weather coming at you again. And I'm going to introduce to you my broadcast partner, the one and only Zuki. Welcome, Zook.
My man. What's up, brother?
I don't know, not much. Just getting over that football hangover from a busy week of football, some great games. I want to get your take on what your impressions of the weekend were. You know, where do you start? You know,
I tell you what impresses me. Your intros impress me, Ruggies.
Yeah,
I tell you, man. You know, you get me all juiced up, man. I'm all excited.
Well, I'm fired up about talking football,
Look at
talking
you,
sports.
You handsome bastard. You with your blue eye. I don't know. You know, people don't know what Ruggs looks like. I tell you. People say, what does he look like? The guy looks like a surfer, man. He's got the blonde hair flowing, Goldilocks, the blue eyes, and everybody's got a Hawaii shirt on.
I do. I wish I was there.
You missed the summer?
I
miss it too. Would you go to Hawaii? You ever go there?
I've been to Hawaii.
Lucky bastard, you.
It's a nice place. I
you.
see the San Francisco Giants garb on.
Yeah.
You know, fall in the air. We'll get to the baseball, of course, later on in our show.
That's right. But yeah, football. Let's get right to it. First and foremost, want to say great game by the Indianapolis Colts. They had an impressive victory on Sunday night against the Denver Broncos, who appear to look human now. They no longer look unbeatable, and they aren't unbeatable anymore. They are beat. They have been defeated. So no 16-0 for the Denver Broncos there. So the Miami Dolphins can toast.
Almost, yep.
They can toast. They're halfway home. They're halfway clear. They just got to put the Maloik on the Kansas City Chiefs now. You know, great game plan through and through for the Indianapolis Colts. Andrew Luck. Hey, he answered the bell. Last week, you know, I said that let's see what Andrew Luck is made of. Well, he's made of metal. He's a tough guy, man.
Zook, that was a signature win for that team, though. I mean, unbelievable.
I agree. And now you have to start, you know, you look at their wins, the Colts, the Broncos, Seattle, San Francisco. Those are quality victories.
They just have to bring it every week. That's my only issue with them.
And then you watch them play San Diego last Monday night, and you're like, wow. But you know what? For the most part, they're a young team. You know, they have a young core, so it could happen. You know, it tends to happen. You know, you have an off game. But a great win for the Indianapolis Colts. Andrew Luck was impressive. Unfortunately, it came with an expensive. It wasn't a cheap win there. You know, it came with a heavy loss with losing Reggie Wayne for the season. That was a huge loss, huge blow for the Indianapolis Colts. Let's see. You know, let's see if they can bounce back from this. Let's see how resilient they are. Unfortunate for Reggie Wayne, a guy who's a veteran, 34 years old. You know, hopefully he can come back from this. I don't know if he does. We'll see if he's willing to go through the rehab and stuff like that. But all in all, a great win for the Colts. Their defense was stout. You know, good for them.
You know, we spoke before the show about the key turning point of the game was the Mathis sack and fumble on Peyton Manning, which resulted in the safety. And that kind of changed the game because the Broncos had just held. They were up 14-10. If Peyton takes them down the field and puts them up 21-10, you may not be talking about a Colts victory today. That play just changed everything. You know, the Broncos playing with two backup tackles. You know, Clady's done for the year. They're using guys that they're really down on the depth charts on the offensive line, and I think it showed. I mean, Peyton, like you said before the show, didn't look fully comfortable in the pocket, and it affected some of his throws, and he wasn't going down the field as much.
Yeah, really couldn't step into any of his throws. Like, I mean, as we all could see, he was not comfortable in the pocket. I don't think he wasn't even comfortable audibling. I mean, you didn't see the vintage Omaha, Carolina, yada.
Saw more out of Luck.
Yeah.
Luck did it a few times.
I mean, you didn't see that for Peyton Manning. Kind of weird, you know, honestly. He just didn't look comfortable, and I was really surprised by that. I thought he would come in there and, you know, look to really beat the Indianapolis Colts there and try to really, you know, make a point there, but I don't know if he got soft. Maybe the crowd got to him and made him soft. I don't know what it was. You know, it didn't look like the vintage Peyton. It didn't look like the Peyton Manning we've seen the first 6 weeks. You know, but you got to give the Colts credit. They were able to get to him. They pressured him. They hit him. They designed some very good blitzes. Their secondary was exceptional. They really did a good job on those receivers. They played mostly man too, which I was shocked about. I said they're going to play man against these guys, and it worked.
That's one of the most improved units in the league, too, because the Colts a year or two ago were known as an awful secondary.
Yes.
And they just revamped it. I mean, it's a lot of teams would like to
Vontae
know the
Davis.
secret to. Yeah, I mean, you pick up a free agent, you can make a couple good draft picks, and it happens for you. But I mean, it's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. It really isn't. So, yeah, kudos to the Colts. I could have done without Jim Irsay getting the game ball. I mean, we spoke about that before the game. That was, I want to say,
A little tasteless.
I want to say, great job by the Colts fans before the game. You know, even I got to give credit to the Colts organization. They did a video. Marvin Harrison and Edgerrin James were there. Good job by the Colts. But just to give Irsay the game ball, what are you trying to? Are you insinuating something? I took it as it's a matter of perspective or how you interpret things. I interpret it as this, that maybe he got into Peyton's head, and maybe they're trying to give him credit, like, oh, you did it, you rattled him. Maybe that's why they're giving him the game ball. Maybe they're trying to give him credit, like you rattled Peyton Manning and you got into his head, and that's why he came out and really wasn't, he didn't play a superb, dominant, he wasn't.
That's a very good point.
He didn't play a dominant game, and maybe that's the way, that's the way they were trying to say it.
Yeah,
It was bizarre, though.
And I almost took another side of that, too, was maybe, you did the right thing by getting rid of the old guy and bringing in this new kid, so we're going to give you the game ball because you changed our franchise for the better. I mean, either way, with the it's maybe a little it's a little tasteless.
They rubbed Peyton Manning's nose in it, and I honestly hope they play again in the playoffs. I really do. I'd like to see Peyton get another crack at him.
Oh, what
honestly,
a game that would be. How excited!
I'd like to see
people be for
Peyton.
that one.
I'd like to see Peyton get another crack at him.
Yeah, and it's certainly a possibility the way the AFC's shaping up. We had the other thing, we touched on it real briefly, is the Kansas City Chiefs now are left alone as the only undefeated team at 7-0.
Yep.
I don't think anybody would have put any money with Vegas on that before the year started.
No,
just.
It was a great win for the Kansas City Chiefs. Their defense, again, they have a dominant defense, the best defense in the NFL, hands down. Let's just be serious here. This is no longer a fluke. Their defense is the best in the league. They got to the young man Case Keenum.
He played pretty well. I mean, he
for the most
made a
part,
good count of himself, better than TJ Yates would have done.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I agree with that. You're going against the best. That's a hard spot for the kid.
Yeah.
In Kansas City against the best defense in the league. But the Chiefs, they look good, and they're winning these close games.
Right. And the old adage is if you are a real good team, you'll win some games where you're not playing your best. And I think that was what the Chiefs did yesterday.
Well said.
And now they're 7-0. So they're for real.
Oh, they are for real.
Keep waiting for the wheels to kind of fall off. But.
And now look, they're in first place in the AFC West, and now the pressure's on Denver. Now Denver has to sit back and say, "Uh-oh, as great as we've been, we're not even in first place in our division."
Imagine that one of these teams has to be a wild card. It's going to happen. I mean, it's just going to be ridiculous.
It's a joke, but if you're a Super Bowl team, you're going to have to. If you're a Super Bowl caliber team, just go on the road and win your game.
Right.
But it's tough. But hey, you know what? Peyton Manning, the one Super Bowl he has, it was just a wild card.
Exactly.
So maybe
we've seen the Giants do it.
The Steelers did it. In 2005 when all those years of disappointments, they were the 6th seed. Boom, they win the Super Bowl. The Giants, of course, twice.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, the second time the Giants won their division, the first time.
Right, but the first time they went through the wild card route.
But yeah, the AFC West is unbelievable. And San Diego, we'll get to that later. But San Diego now 4-3, they're right in there too.
Yeah.
I know they're 3 games behind Kansas City, but they're 2 games behind Denver. Maybe they can get a wild card spot in there too.
Much improved.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought it was just Denver and a runaway, and it was just going to slaughter the rest of the division, but it hasn't been quite that way this year. And another big development from yesterday was in the Jets-Patriots game. And the Jets coming out with an overtime win to keep themselves. Now they're only a game out in the division. They're in second place all by themselves. A little iffy on the ending, perhaps. I mean, the rule's in the book, so they called the rule, but it's just that was the biggest thing. It's like the enforcement of a rule that's not called often. I don't know what your feeling was on that and how the rule is interpreted.
All I know is it's a great win for the Jets. Fireman Ed's probably ready to come back.
Yeah, maybe.
That win was such a great win for the Jets. He's ready to come back. Yeah, hats off to the Jets. Geno Smith played a great game. Played well, the young man. He threw it was a crazy game. He throws the pick 6, and I'm thinking, game over. Not game over per se, but more along the lines of, that's deflating.
I did.
I was like, man, he throws a pick 6 there. That's horrible. But he came back the next drive after the pick 6, and he was making some great throws. So that shows me that this kid, he's mentally tough, he's resilient, and he's got a short memory, which is what you need in the NFL. So good for Geno Smith. I was very impressed with Geno Smith. He did not look like the same, like I said last week, I was at the game against Pittsburgh. He did not look like the same guy. So, again, the fickle Jets, you know,
They're
week.
hard to figure out.
1 week, they're world beaters. The next week, they stink. Which means they're, you know, this game coming up, they're in line to stink. It's their time to have throw up a stinker here. But great win for the Jets. Now, in terms of the last play, you know, when I first saw it, I thought it was a BS call. I said, oh, what are these refs? You know, geez, another lucky win for the Jets. But just like Belichick had to come on, apologize, and say, hey, it was a penalty. It's a penalty. It's in the rule book. It is what it is. You know, hey, don't commit dumb penalties. And, you know, I don't know what he's trying to do. I don't know what that young man is trying to do anyway. It's a 56-yard field goal. You need an advantage on a 56-yard field goal. I mean, I could see what he's trying to do there. It's the game. I can't totally kill the guy. Hey, it was the right call. And great game. I mean, Brady throws a pick six, which is how uncharacteristic of Brady there.
Oh, so rare for that to happen.
And the big story was Gronk came back, and he looked damn good. He looked pretty good. Little rusty, but if that's Gronk rusty, wow.
Yeah, he's
I mean, that's scary. So he was phenomenal. So I think the Pats, they'll get it going.
Yeah, I think they'll right the ship and they'll still take that division over. And now with Miami losing to your Bills, I think that really opens that division for them back up, because I really still would have thought Miami was the strongest challenger to New England to win the division if anybody was going to knock them off. You know, I don't think the Jets over a course of the 16-game schedule are going to be able to keep pace with the Patriots. But, you know, it's nice that they're close and it's not a 3 or a 4-game lead in the division right now. That way Buffalo's playing, you know, make that really help New England in a lot of ways. I know they weren't looking to help New England out. That Miami loss really was a devastating one for them, losing at home in a divisional game, coming off a bye. You know, it's going to be real tough for them to make the playoffs, and the AFC is now getting to be real competitive. A lot of teams that are separating themselves, and you don't want to get on a losing streak the way Miami's done.
Well, yeah, especially in the AFC West, where it looks like that one wild card's definitely going to, you know, obviously it's either going to the Broncos or Chiefs, and now you got the Chargers who are 4-3, the Jets are 4-3. I think the Dolphins, you know, we'll see. I'm not a big believer of the Dolphins. Let's see. It's a deflating loss, but they still got a long way to go. A lot of season left, so we'll see. But I will say about the New England Patriots, I no longer think they're unbeatable. Not that I ever thought they were unbeatable, but I'm not so sure that division's still all theirs. They've got a ton of injuries. The offense still doesn't look that great. Gronk is back. He looked great. That's good for the Patriots, but they still have no receivers besides Gronkowski. The running game's still iffy. The defense now with the injuries.
Yeah, those were huge yesterday.
Yeah.
Mayo was out.
And you saw it. I mean, it's right there. So, you know, we'll see. I mean, I'm not so sure they're going to, you know, beat Pittsburgh in a couple of weeks and games like that. Now you got to look at it and say maybe these games that we thought were wins a couple of weeks ago, maybe they're not. So, we'll see.
Yeah, well, we're going to go to break here on All Noise Radio on the Zuki and Ruggs Show. We'll touch on the NFC a little more. We slighted them because all the big developments pretty much were in the AFC games this week. But we'll when we do our predictions coming back off the break, we'll get into the NFC a little bit more. So we're going to go to break now here on Zuki and Ruggs Show, All Noise Radio. Attention fans of the Zuki and Ruggs Show. Join us, Zuki and Ruggs, for the Quinnipiac University Men's and Women's Basketball Media Night, which is set for Tuesday, November the 4th at the TD Bank Sports Center, which is on campus at Quinnipiac University in Hamden, Connecticut on Sherman Avenue. If you arrive at 5 o'clock, you will be there for the meet and greet with media dignitaries from all local media outlets, including yours truly and my partner Zuki. There will be a buffet dinner at 6 o'clock for all those in attendance, and it's only $10 a person, so how can you go wrong? So join us, Zuki and Ruggs, for the Quinnipiac University Men's and Women's Basketball Media Night at the TD Bank Sports Center at Quinnipiac University, and you get to meet and greet the coaches of both teams. Men's coach Tom Moore, former Jim Calhoun assistant, and Tricia Fabry, who was the league coach of the year in the NEC, now in the MAC conference the Quinnipiac Bobcats are, who is the coach of the women's basketball team as they get ready for their upcoming season. So there will be questions and answer sessions for the media and fans for both coaches, followed by a buffet dinner at 6 p.m. So the festivities kick off at 4:45 p.m. on Sherman Avenue at the Quinnipiac TD Bank North Center on the campus at Quinnipiac University. Hope to see you there, everybody.
All Noise Radio, powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
AllNoiseRadio.com.
Back on the Zuki and Ruggs Show. It's prediction time, and we're going to get right into the picks for week number 8.
All right, my man. Yeah, week 8. Wow, the NFL season almost halfway over.
Unbelievable.
Unreal. I mean, it's just, the season just goes by. I mean, it's a sprint. Whereas baseball's a marathon, this is a sprint.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. Well, all right, we'll get started. Thursday night, we got a game, not too exciting, but it's a game nonetheless. If you're a football junkie, Thursday night, Carolina goes into Tampa Bay. Jeez, I mean, where do you start here? Tampa Bay, who just lost Doug Martin for the season today, came out, the news broke that he's done for the year. I mean, when it rains, it pours for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah. Here's a team that I predicted to go to the playoffs before the season started. How dumb do I feel right now? You know, they played okay. Vincent Jackson, I mean, he's trying. He's playing great. The kid Mike Glennon made some throws and played great against your Atlanta Falcons. The offense has shown some signs of life there for Tampa. They're trying, it looks like. But Doug Martin's a big blow. Now they're going to turn to Mike James, the young man from the University of Miami. But I can't see them beating Carolina. It's almost to the point now where Tampa's just going to have to win a game before I pick them. Carolina's favored by 6 right now. That's what the lines opened up at. I think Carolina here, they're at 3-3. They win this game, they get to 4-3. So they're thinking wild card, of course. I mean, you have to when you're 3-3 in that division. I see Carolina coming out here and able to win a game. Steve Smith's playing well. You know, Carolina didn't have an overly impressive win against the Rams yesterday, but I like Carolina to win this game.
All right, you know, you said it's not a great game, and it really isn't. It's kind of a snoozer, but it is an important game for Carolina, like you said. I mean, they're still harboring hopes for a wild card run. I think they're going to pull this one out. If you read the rosters, man, Tampa Bay's got a lot of players on the team. I cannot figure out why they can't get some wins together. It's just, it's unbelievable. I mean, you got Vincent Jackson. He had a nice game yesterday. They got, they had Doug Martin, got, some real name players on defense that they went out and spent a lot of money on. So you figure at any time they can just turn it on and start getting some wins, but it just isn't happening. So like you said, I can't pick them either till they get one done. I picked them last week and it was a mistake. They started out with turning the ball over right away for a touchdown, and they never got that score back. I mean, they were chasing those points all day long. And I'm going to take Carolina, but Carolina is one of those teams we talked a little bit like the Jets can be, off air about how Jets are Jekyll and Hyde. Well, Carolina's kind of the NFC version. They're very Jekyll and Hyde too. They played some real lame games like in Arizona. They just didn't show up. So we're hoping for their sake it's not one of those nights Thursday, but I think they're going to get through this one and march on to a victory, go 4-3.
There you go. Well, let me turn over to the 1 o'clock games on Sunday. Big game. This is a great game in my opinion, one of the better 1 o'clock games. We got the Dallas Cowboys, the first place Dallas Cowboys, coming off an impressive victory in Philadelphia, going into Detroit to take on the 4-3 Lions, who had a tough loss yesterday. They played well, just a tough loss, unfortunately for them. So really, the Lions need this game for first place. What do you think, Ruggies?
Well, I'll tell you this: if this game was last week, this past week that we just got through, I'd pick Detroit in a second. I'd be like, but after seeing what I saw on both sides, it's like very tempting to like go back and maybe take the Cowboys here. I'm still going to stick with the Lions at home. They have to have this one now. They let that was a big game they let get away against Cincinnati. Dallas looked impressive, but they were playing, a lot of the game against Matt Barkley. Basically no quarterback at all. I mean, Foles played terribly when he was in there, but, Barkley's even worse. Romo didn't play great. I mean, he managed the game and they got enough to win. They basically pitched a shutout on defense, giving up only the 3 points. They're going to have a tough time with Megatron, and Reggie Bush and that crew holding them down in Detroit. I'm going to take Detroit. I think they're going to be a little bit angry. Dallas might feel a little content now. They got the front runner spot in the division now with that win over Philadelphia, and maybe feeling a little good about themselves. I'll take the Lions in this one.
I agree. Calvin Johnson looked great yesterday. That's a good sign for the Detroit Lions. I think they're going to be a little upset about losing the game to Cincinnati. They're home, which is a big help to them as well. I think this will be a tougher test for the Dallas Cowboys than the Philadelphia Eagles were. No DeMarcus Ware, I think, is really going to hurt the Cowboys here. It didn't hurt them yesterday, but I think it's going to hurt them here to not get pressure on Matthew Stafford. Maybe that cover 2 defensive Monty Kiffin will try to contain Calvin Johnson, but I don't think so. I really like the Detroit Lions here. I think Reggie Bush will present trouble for them because the Dallas Cowboys traditionally, I've noticed the last couple of seasons, really have trouble with running backs who come out of the backfield. Guys like Darren Sproles have given them nightmares. Guys like that have really given the Cowboys a hard time. And I think Reggie Bush will do more of the same. I like the Detroit Lions here to win this game and get to 5-3. Another game we have on par for 1 o'clock. We won't spend too much time on this one. It's the London game. We go to London. We go to London.
Cheerio.
Cheerio for the San Francisco 49ers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, poor London. It's subjected to the
catch a break.
they're
We talked
subjected to the
about
Jaguars.
ESPN on Monday Night Football not catching a break. Well, London is just about as bad.
Oh
They
my
got some
God.
stinkers over there.
Yeah, there you go. Ruggs, you want to spend 10 seconds on this game?
Yeah, I think the Niners will win handily.
I agree, and I'll make sure. And your little fantasy football advice: start every 49er you have, even like the third string running back, LaMichael James. Start him. So there you go. Another game here for the 1:00'ers. Cleveland, who now that 3-game winning streak seems like 3 months ago, they've kind of come crashing back down to
Kind of
earth.
called that one.
Yeah. They have to go into Kansas City to face the 7-0 Kansas City Chiefs. Hopefully the 72 Dolphins will be playing golf that day. I don't want to see them anywhere near I don't want to see them anywhere near the Kansas City Chiefs or near a television or a video camera. Please just stay away, you losers. Okay? You living vicarious. The only thing you have in your life that means anything is your stupid record. Okay, Mercury Morris. Go get a job, will you?
Don Shula's not going to send you
Yeah.
any gift certificates to his
Yeah,
restaurant.
get a life, will you? Please. Anyway, I predict, let's be honest here, Kansas City Chiefs are going to get to 8-0. I mean,
Yeah.
barring some kind of miracle or some knock on wood for the Chiefs, some injuries, which, after seeing the games yesterday, is not crazy to predict or expect nowadays. The injuries were just ridiculous yesterday. I mean, every team suffered. It seems like every team suffered a big loss yesterday. It was just nuts. But hopefully the injury bug doesn't bite the Kansas City Chiefs here. I think they get a victory pretty much running away and get to 8-0.
I'm also going to take the Chiefs. Zook, Cleveland, I mean, they have enough defense to keep the game close, kind of like Houston did, so it could be a close game, but they don't have anybody to take them over the top. I think all the really good playmakers, the better playmakers are on Kansas City, and they're at home, and they may actually come out with a big effort this week because they may feel like they coasted a little in this last one, and Reed might get on them to pick up the play on the offensive end. And, if you're Alex Smith and you just don't make any mistakes, you got to feel like you can hold off the Cleveland offense. I mean, they're probably going to play from in front the whole game, and I expect them to win. I know there's been a lot of crazy results the last few weeks, so it's tough to say this one's a gimme, but I feel pretty comfortable about picking the Chiefs.
Agreed. Well said. Big game here at 1:00. The aforementioned Miami Dolphins, who had let's be honest, I was happy. I'm stoked, but I know a lot of my friends in social media were not very happy with the Miami Dolphins performance yesterday, but nevertheless, they can right their own ship here. The 3-3 Miami Dolphins travel to Foxborough to face the New England Patriots, who also suffered a tough loss, as we've already delved into. Yeah, gotta go with the New England Patriots here. I just can't see these guys losing 2 games in a row. I think they're gonna be ticked off by yesterday. Also, I just think that let's see now a full week of practice for Gronk. I just like New England here. I just think Miami's defense not that good. I think Miami's you're kind of seeing the other side of the Dolphins. Sometimes you see these teams, they come out confident, they come out feeling good, like they believe, and all of a sudden they get a tough loss, they lose a game, and then before you know it, you lose a couple games here. I like the New England Patriots to win this game.
Yeah, I think the biggest area of where it's coming apart for the Dolphins is on the offensive line. I mean, they're just getting Tannehill killed in these games. Even when they were winning, they weren't playing well as an offensive line. He was getting sacked way too much. He's the top sacked quarterback in the league, and I think if New England can get any pressure at all on Tannehill, they're going to have the big advantage. Like you said, I think Gronkowski with a week of practice will pick up and keep it going on what he did against the Jets last week. And I think New England wins this game. Miami always, gives them a problem. They always play tight games. They expect it to be a tight one. And the way the league works, Miami, if they win this one, all of a sudden you forget about the loss to the Bills because they're right in it again.
They'll be tied in the loss column
with the Patriots, and depending on what the Jets do, they could be actually in second by themselves. It's a week-to-week league in that respect, but I think the Dolphins aren't going to get, I agree, I think New England's going to win this game, and I think the Dolphins are going to really feel the effects of that loss to Buffalo for the rest of the season. I think it's going to be a tough one to overcome.
Yeah, New England's, they're stewing after that loss to the Jets with a lot of vengeance.
Bad week to get them.
Yeah, I agree. And a game here, actually, a game that I'm actually going to be at, believe it or not. The New York Giants travel to the Philadelphia Eagles. Before the season started, I would have said that's a big game, but nevertheless, depending on what happens tonight with the Giant game, if the Giants do win tonight, which I expect, let's just say for argument's sake they're 1-6. If they are 1-6, the Eagles are 3-4. You win this game, you're within one game of the Eagles. I'm actually going to go with the Giants here. I think the Giants can win this football game. They've played Philly tough. I think they've got revenge in their minds, and if Philly has no quarterback, the advantage goes to the Giants. I mean, even if Vic plays, you expect he's going to be banged up. He won't be able to run like we're accustomed to seeing with Vic. Foles is definitely out. And if it's Matt Barkley, oh my God. Oh my God! If the Giants can't beat Matt Barkley, they just quit. They don't play football anymore this season. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I think the Giants are going to go out there and win the game.
Yeah, I'm picking the Giants also. We don't know what's going to happen tonight. We're taping this before the Vikings game with the Giants on Monday night. But even if the Giants are 0-7, I think this would be the week they'd get the win. Very uncertain in Philadelphia right now who's going to be under center. Foles obviously got banged up, got a head injury. You got Matt Barkley, who just looked horrible out there Sunday. I mean, I can't see him beating the Giants. You know, Michael Vick, if he plays, is he going to be 100%? It's very hard to determine that. And the Giants typically, they split these divisional games with Philadelphia anyway. They're going to come to play. Even if they are 0-7, they're going to come to play. So I'll take the Giants here.
Agreed. All right, Ruggs. Well, we got to take a break, and after this break, we're gonna pick up the rest of the games on All Noise Radio.
Do you have a friend or loved one who suffers from, well, verbal diarrhea?
Oh my God, did you see what
is
she
it
was
so
wearing?
bad that it is
Like
ruining
her
your family
shoes?
functions or
Ew.
intimate moments?
I mean,
I can't take it anymore. I just feel like poking my eyes out when they ramble on and on and on.
Hello, I'm Dr. Joel Horowitz, and fortunately for you, we at Know It All Labs have developed a treatment for this growing epidemic known as sedate phobia, or fear of silence.
Taken once daily, this oral remedy known as synthetic transparent ferric uranium, or commonly referred to as STFU, will begin the healing process.
STFU saved my marriage. Now I can get through an entire movie and actually hear the words. And I don't think about crashing the car every time we go for a family trip. Thank you, STFU.
For everyone who has had to endure a life without peace and quiet, STFU is for you. Results may vary. Side effects are not common, but may include psychotic episodes, loss of testosterone, bleeding of the auditory canal, and pestilence. Use as directed.
Hey kids, you're listening to All Noise Radio, powered by Connecticut School of Broadcasting, Stratford, Connecticut. AllNoiseRadio.com.
All right, we're back here on the Zuki and Ruggs Show. Well, we're going to go to the 4 o'clock games here. Yeah, now here's a big game for you, Ruggs. Let's see what you think about this one, baby. We were saying, we said in our first segment, the Jets, the eclectic, bipolar Jets, they had their good week yesterday. Will they do for the bad week? Well, the news gets worse. They have to go to Cincinnati and face the Cincinnati Bengals. Actually going to be one of the 4 o'clock games that are really interesting. You know, I'm going to be watching this one or paying attention to it. The Jets going to Cincinnati. What do you think about that one, brother?
Well, I'll put it this way. I think to win this game, the Jets are going to have to get a lot of running out of Geno Smith. I think he's going to have a tough time beating him with just his arm. I mean, even Aaron Rodgers learned that. Tom Brady, I mean, you got to attack this team from a couple different facets because they're just very, very good on the defensive end. Yeah, I mean, look, they beat Matthew Stafford yesterday. They've been really racking up the wins against top NFL quarterbacks. I think Geno Smith does present another aspect to his game where he can run for it, beat him with a double threat there. The Jets are going to have to play, though, almost a perfect game, I think, to win this one. I really don't think that's possible with them. Like you said, they're Jekyll and Hyde, and they're really due to not show up. And in Cincinnati, on top of it, I'm taking the Bengals here. I think they might win big, too. It could be a runaway.
I agree. I like the Cincinnati Bengals here at home. They're 5-2. I think they want to put a stranglehold on that AFC North. I just think the Jets will not be able to run the football as successfully as they did against the Patriots against this week. I think them being able to run the football, Chris Ivory had a great game against New England. I don't think he's going to be able to do that against Cincinnati. I think that was actually a key contributor to their victory yesterday against New England. I don't see that happening, and if that means the Bengals, if they can't establish a run and the Bengals aren't worried about the run, that means Geno Smith's in a world of trouble. I don't see Geno being able to do anything against that defense on the road, hostile territory. The crowd's going to be into it, and I think the Bengals are also going to take the Jets seriously. The Jets are 4-3 coming off a victory against New England. I don't think the Bengals are going to sit here and take the Jets lightly, so they're going to bring their A game, in my opinion. Andy Dalton's playing real well the last couple of games, which does not bode well for the Jets. So I'm going to go with the Bengals here. The line's 7. I like it. I think the Bengals are going to win this game impressively. That's what I predict. Okay? That's what I'm thinking.
Well, then it's law. Put it down. Put a stamp on it.
All right. Another 4 o'clock game here. Here we go with the upstart Pittsburgh Steelers. All of a sudden, they had a great win yesterday against the Baltimore Ravens. They're 2-4. They travel out to Oakland, who's 2-4 as well, coming off a bye week. Pittsburgh last year, I know a lot of Steeler fans. I got a lot of personal friends that are Steeler fans, a lot of friends in the social media who live out in Pittsburgh. This is a game last year that they lost. They lost in Oakland last year, and they remember that. They really attest that loss to them not making the playoffs last year. And I think so. If they know it, the players know it. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to go out there. In my opinion, they're going to put a whooping on the Oakland Raiders. I don't care if the Oakland Raiders had 4 weeks to get ready for this game. I think the Steelers got a couple wins under their belt now. They're feeling confident. The defense is playing better. Le'Veon Bell's running the ball better. The offense is looking better for the Steelers. I think the Steelers are actually starting to believe they can do something here. You know, I think they have to look at it and say, hey, the Ravens aren't that good. The Browns, forget it. You know, hey, we win this game. We're 3-4. Let's go. All right? And these guys are champions, you know, for the most part. So I don't think the Steelers are going to lay down here and quit. I like the Steelers going into Oakland and also, like I said, they got revenge on their minds from last year. I like the Steelers to go in there and layeth the smacketh down on the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, well said. I was going to, circle this and say potential trap game here, but I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to mention it that, they definitely are thinking about losing the same exact game. And, the Raiders are a better team this year than they were last year, so it won't be quite as easy to go in there and push them around. But, the Steelers, they have a little bit of momentum going. They're going to, take second place over in that division if they're not, too careful. I like Pittsburgh in this game, and I think Oakland, for whatever reason, at home sometimes when you think, they're going to have a good shot to win a game, they come out and they lay some real stinkers like the Washington game this year.
Right.
I could see them doing that again. I mean, it's an old rivalry, and they'll be up for Pittsburgh because they really don't like Pittsburgh. But that's maybe from days gone by. I don't know if it matters that much to them. I think the real motivation might be with the Steelers to come in and avenge last year's loss. Especially on Roethlisberger's mind because he really took a beating in that game.
Yeah,
got hit a lot, and I think the offensive lines does worry you. It's similar to Miami in that respect with Pittsburgh. That if they protect Ben, they'll carve up the Raiders, and I think they'll do that. I think they'll win pretty handily.
Well said. I'll let you take this one, brother. We got the 2-4 Atlanta Falcons coming off an impressive victory against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Heading out to Arizona to play the Cardinals, who the last couple of weeks, that defense has looked exposed, not looking as stout as they were the first 5 weeks or so. What do you got there, Ruggs? What are you thinking, brother?
Well, maybe my picking against them, is like a good thing for them because I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take Arizona. They're still 0 for the road this year, and I don't know if this past week's win over Tampa Bay was just kind of an anomaly. They don't have anything to show me that they're going to come in and just turn this season around all of a sudden. I mean, they're just losing players left and right. There's nothing there. I mean, you can't expect 150 yards receiving out of Harry Douglas every week. 2 touchdowns out of Jacquizz Rodgers. I mean, they're not a very hard team to game plan for anymore. You got to just take Gonzalez away first, I think, and then, from there, they don't have a ton of threats. The defense, they turned over Tampa Bay for a touchdown early in the game, but they're really kind of a bend, don't break, and they give up a lot of yards. With Carson Palmer, as long as he doesn't implode and make those really bad decisions he does make sometimes, he can just have a lot of success throwing, and who's going to cover Larry Fitzgerald? Even Vincent Jackson really had a big game against him with the 2 touchdowns, and who knows what happens if Doug Martin doesn't get injured. I'm going to take the Cardinals here. I think the Falcons, they're stubborn. They're going to fight. They'll make the game close. They won't get blown out, I don't believe, but I think they'll lose another close one, and they'll probably have a chance to win it, and they'll let it go at the end.
Well, I'm going the other way here because I'm more optimistic than you because I'm not a Falcon fan, pal. I like the Atlanta Falcons to win this game and get to 3-4. I just don't trust Carson Palmer as far as I can throw him. I think he will turn the ball over. If Atlanta's just able to get a little pressure on him, I don't think it really matters. Palmer is just a mistake waiting to happen. Larry Fitzgerald's still banged up. I don't trust Arizona's offense. They have no running game whatsoever. Maybe Andre Ellington can have a great all-around game, but I don't think so. I think for the most part, I think the Falcons did a pretty good job on Doug Martin yesterday. I just don't trust Arizona's offense. The scariest guy in the offense, in my opinion, is Michael Floyd now with the injuries to Fitzgerald. I wouldn't be worried about the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Falcons are going to play with some pride here. If they get Steven Jackson back, who looks like he's going to practice on Wednesday, that bodes well for the Falcons. It gives them two solid backs. Rodgers is coming off a phenomenal game. Takes a little pressure off Matty Ryan. Let's see, Patrick Peterson's going to be on Harry Douglas, but, we'll see about that. I mean, I thought Revis was going to shut down Harry Douglas, and it didn't happen. So, there you go. I like the Falcons here. I think the Falcons are going to go on the road and get a W. I really do. I think they'll get this game. Unfortunately for the Arizona Cardinals, I just see the season turning over for them and going the wrong way here. I just see the season just going down
almost the same thing that happened to him last year, Zook, where he started off strong and just kind of just went right in the tank.
Yeah, I think it happens when you have no consistency on offense. And, they just don't have a consistent offense.
Yeah.
I like the Falcons here. Arizona's favored by 2.5. I could see it going the other way, but we'll see. 4:25 game here. The last one I'm gonna talk about here. The Washington Redskins go out to Denver. Now, I got to give it to the Washington Redskins. I'm laughing because I'm just thinking about how bad the Redskins defense, has been, and now you have to go into Denver and coming off a loss. That's scary. That's scary. I think Peyton Manning's ticked off. He's going to be ticked off. You could see him after that game with his helmet on. He was pissed. And you could see it. He was pissed. He handled it classy. He was saying goodbye to all the Colts staff, walking off the field. But he was ticked off. And I think he's going to take it out on that porous Washington Redskins secondary who just made Josh McCown look like an all-pro quarterback yesterday. Bad news for the Redskins. Coming off a great win. That was a great win. RG3's playing well, playing better. Roy Halou had a tremendous game. The offense looks like it's starting to click here, but unfortunately they're going to run into a buzzsaw out in Denver. If the game was in Washington, I'd give them a fighting chance. I'd say, hey, you never know. Because let's be honest, Denver's defense is not very good. Denver's defense is not looking too good here. Which may cost him a Super Bowl, and then Peyton Manning will get blamed for not winning a Super Bowl. But that's a story in and of it. That's another story. I'm going to go with the Broncos here. I think pretty big, too. I just think the Broncos are going to be really upset about losing the game. And they need to win because they got the Chiefs, who are in first place in their division, and now you're going to see the Broncos playing with urgency. So I definitely see the Broncos winning this game.
Yeah, we talked 2 weeks ago when Jacksonville went in there about how, big of a butt kicking it might be for Denver, but Jacksonville's defense is better than Washington's. Washington's defense is really bad. Yeah, I don't know what Denver might do to them, especially, like you said, coming off being a little bit wounded from last week's game. They may put 55 or 60 up on these guys. The Bears put 41, and they did lose, but they put 41 points on.
With a backup QB.
Like you said, another injury. That, we've been talking about all these injuries this week. One of the biggest injury weeks, we've had in a while, and Cutler went down with an injury.
Out up to 4 weeks, I think they're saying.
So that's something for the Bears to now have to get over and try to figure out a way to save their season. But back to this game, Manning, like you said, just really, really looked just steamed after that game last night. I think they'll run the ball better than they did last night against this Washington defense. I think that was what was missing. Marino was had a ho-hum game. I mean, he's really been a big difference maker on that team this year. Something that they were missing maybe last year, and they didn't have it to draw from in that Ravens playoff game that they have. They're a little more complete in that regard, but their defense does have to step it up and play better. Von Miller is back. I think that helps a lot. He was just kind of rusty and not ready to go maybe as much last night as he needed to be. But that'll change quickly. I think RG3 will make some plays. The Redskins will score points. I don't have any question about that in my mind, but I think it could be like 51-23 or something crazy like that. Look like kind of a high school score or a college score. I think Denver will win it big.
I agree. Well, and then we got the Sunday night game. The Green Bay Packers head into Minnesota. Again, it's a division game, a lot of history there. These networks still air that game. I know.
You mean they can't have flex games this early in the year?
Yeah, I know as you can hear in my voice, I'm not too excited about this game. I know there's people that actually do live out west that care about Vikings Packers, but I personally don't. But we got to talk about it anyway because it is NFL football. Yeah, I think the Vikings will play hard. Let's see how Josh Freeman's starting tonight against the Giants. Then you give him let's see how he looks next week. And he's certainly better than the other options with Castle and Ponder there. I still like the Packers to win this game. I don't care where they play him. I don't care if they play him in Florida, Antarctica, China, Japan. I don't care where they play these guys. I know the Packers have some injuries, no doubt, but now they lost Jermichael Finley. Guy's in ICU from what I heard for crying out loud. The Packers are just riddled with injuries, but nevertheless, I still think they win the game. Obviously, they're not going to blow them out as they had a full squad if they had, Randall Cobb and Finley and all those guys, but I still like the Packers to win this football game.
Yeah, Zook, they really are the walking wounded. It's unbelievable how this season has just unfolded for the Packers. I thought I had it bad with the Falcons because they've had a lot of injuries. Nothing like the Packers. It's just terrible. It is an IC unit there. He probably didn't even need to leave the field to go to ICU, leave the stadium anyway. But I think they'll win big. But like we said with these other teams, we talked about like the Pittsburghs and the Miamis. It's a 1 week season a lot of times in the NFL. If Minnesota, we don't know what's going to happen today. If Minnesota does go and beat the Giants on the road. I don't think they're going to, but if they do and they get that second win, the way that division is with the Bears starting to come back and the Lions only 4-3, if they were to also win that game, it becomes important for them. This Green Bay game, they could get to 3-4 if they win those two. They're right back in it. So it may be not as bad a game for the networks. The network's probably hoping maybe Minnesota does win tonight, and especially with Freeman, it would make it a little intriguing because it's a new matchup for them. Not like having Christian Ponder run out there again, just to get shellacked by Green Bay. The game is in Minnesota. You always have Adrian Peterson, so it can always be interesting. But all that being said, try to build it up to be a little bit more exciting than it is. I think the Packers will still win.
Yeah, and wrapping up the Week 8 schedule, we got the Seattle Seahawks, who they're set at 6-1 and coming off an impressive victory on Thursday night against the Arizona Cardinals there. Heading into St. Louis, who, geez, those poor people, I don't know how they're going to be able to get up for the game.
Injury bug strikes again.
Yeah, they lost Sam Bradford for the season to a torn ACL. Another injury to the Bears, I just wanted to say. Lance Briggs is out like 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's huge.
Everybody got the injury reports like War and Peace.
I know, and then
it really
hit Alshon Jeffrey. He could be out with concussion-like symptoms.
Unbelievable! It's nuts. And here's Goodell trying to make the game safer. Hey, Raj, I got news for you, pal. You ain't making nothing safer. Whatever you're doing ain't working. You know why? Because it doesn't work. Okay, it's football. These guys get hurt, and it's brutal. These injuries, and they're more serious now. Guys are blowing up their legs. It's nuts. I don't know what it is. I don't know if these guys are just too big, too strong, too fast. The turf, the cleats.
Because this just didn't happen in the decades.
I don't remember this in the old days.
I
never remember this in the old days, in the 80s and 90s. ACLs were like, they were career enders. Like, if you tore your ACL, it was like, oh my God, you tore your ACL? Oh, you're done, dude, for like 2 years. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I tore an ACL.
And it happened with one or two guys a season. This is like three guys this week.
Yeah, major guys too. I mean, it's terrible, but yeah. So I was never a big Sam Bradford guy, but now he's done, and he wasn't playing well before this injury. I don't know. Now they're talking about my man Timmy Tebow maybe coming to the Rams. If you want to touch on this game, the Ruggies, you can. Obviously, I'm going with Seattle. I just think they're just, unfortunately for the Rams, they're just, it's tough. I mean, I'm sure they'll try to play with some pride. Chris Long got into a fight there. He's a fiery guy, but they can fight. They can try to start fights. They can crawl, scratch, whatever they want to do, but they're done. I think Seattle Seahawks are going to just steamroll them.
Well, and if you're going to have a fight with a team and crawl and scratch and go at it with another team, Seattle Seahawks are probably the wrong team to do that with.
Right.
Because they're pretty nasty. They might be the nasty, most physical team in the league. So good luck with that if you're St. Louis. Tim Tebow might be the only thing that can save the ratings for this game. They may get him this week just for that factor. Even if he doesn't play, they may just to get him.
I think ESPN will cover his salary.
They may exactly. They may pay his signing bonus there. I don't see any way St. Louis can hang in this game unless Seattle makes a lot of mistakes on offense, because sometimes their offense does take a while to get going. Even in the Arizona game last Thursday, they didn't really click until that second half. They really got rolling downhill because Arizona was right in the game in the first half and probably shouldn't have been. Seattle let them hang around because they stall a lot of drives and kick a lot of field goals and win on defense mainly. But when Russell Wilson's right, they possibly the top team in the league, certainly NFC anyway. And I think they're probably going to have a defense that they're playing against in St. Louis that's a little maybe uninspired because of what happened last week. I mean, they got Chris Long ejected from the game. I didn't hear if he was suspended for this one, but he did throw a punch in the game, which a lot of times comes with a 1-game suspension attached to it. And I just think that with Marshawn Lynch running the ball, it's just going to be too hard for St. Louis to stop this Seattle team. I think Seattle will win kind of going away. They won't coast, but they'll win going away.
All right. Well, that wraps up our Week 8 predictions. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back. We're going to talk about the World Series coming up. We're going to talk about some of the LCSs and how they shook out. Our friends in Boston are pretty happy. They're drinking that dirty water, and so we're going to touch on the World Series after this on All Noise Radio.
Here's a book that'll change your life.
What do you want to do before you die?
Before I die, I want to live in the wilderness of Alaska and live off the land.
Before I die, I want to take my family to Thailand to ride the elephants.
I vow to never take life too serious and always keep it funny.
If nothing in the world were impossible, what would you do?
It all started in a garage in 2006 when 4 friends decided they needed to make a drastic change.
They made a list of 100 things to do before they died.
and began the journey to uncover their buried lives.
Now it's your turn. Get inspired, make your list, and live your dreams.
Before I die, I would like to visit every strip club in the world.
Yeah, baby. Before I die, I want to meet an alien.
Before I die, I would like to find my son. That mother owes me $200.
I want to smoke a blunt with Willie Nelson.
I want to drink my way around the world. What do you want to do before you die? Buy the book today.
All Noise Radio.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
The noise you can't ignore.
I'm gonna tell you a story. I'm gonna tell you about my town. I'm gonna tell you a big fat story, baby. It's all about my town. Yeah.
We're back on All Noise Radio. We're gonna get into the upcoming World Series. Talking about the Boston Red Sox, who had a thrilling victory on Saturday night, eliminating the Detroit Tigers, who subsequently then Jim Leyland stepped down as manager today. That was big news. I don't know if it was the Tigers giving the old pat on the back or if Leyland decided, enough of this crap. But nevertheless, Jim Leyland stepped down today as manager. And the Boston Red Sox, a thrilling victory on Saturday night with Shane Victorino. Great moment for the Red Sox there, going to the World Series yet again. And what's wrong, Ruggs? You mad, bro? You mad, bro, that your Yankees suck? What are you looking at? You have sour puss on your face.
This is coming from a Met fan. Come on. Give me a break.
Touche.
What are your Giants jersey on over there? San Francisco Giants.
I wish they were still in New York. I'd be a Giant fan.
Can you imagine that if there was still the Polo Grounds and Willie Mays?
Hey, I like the orange. The Met orange, man. It's a giant orange.
It's a snazzy shirt. It's a snazzy shirt.
I actually went out to San Fran last year, and it's a beautiful.
What a nice city, too.
It's a gorgeous city. Oh, for anybody who has never been to San Francisco, you better go. It's an unbelievable city. And that ballpark, the best ballpark in all of baseball.
Have not been, but I've just seen it on
it's phenomenal. As opposed
TV
to Candlestick, which is a dump. Which, Candlestick
amazing
Park is
how
a
that
dump.
works.
But they're going to get a new stadium, the Niners, anyway. But,
There's people that are sad about Candlestick going just because there's so many memories there.
I tell you, man. I got to, the Mets stink. I got to hop on a bandwagon. But nevertheless, great job by the Boston Red Sox going to the World Series. This team, I'm thoroughly impressed by this team. Not a lot of big names, but a lot of gritty guys, grinders, typical Red Sox, typical Boston, very indicative of that city and their fan base. Great job by John Farrell, the manager. A lot of guys stepped up. It was a great team effort. Ben Sherrington's done a great job as general manager, bringing in guys like Koji Uehara and Mike Napoli and Victorino, the aforementioned Victorino, who's the hero on Saturday night. Blah, I can't say Saturday night. But just a great job. And they got great leadership with Pedroia and Big Papi. So congratulations to them. On the other side, you got the St. Louis Cardinals puke. I'll
get on a rant on that in a minute.
Oh my God! You talk about the Yankees. They're like the Yankees of the NL. But anyway, congratulations to them. Not really, but nevertheless. Speaking of which, can you believe the news coming out of LA that Don Mattingly actually and I can't blame Donnie Baseball here. He had a lot of pent up frustration, and it appears that he let it out, saying that he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to work for a team that really doesn't want him, and I don't blame him. I don't know. What is it with Don Mattingly that teams just want to shaft this guy? They want to just give him the shaft. Ruggs, do you have any ideas why?
It's hard to say. I mean, I'm surprised that it came out from him because usually that's not his way, but you're right about that. I mean, he's gotten a raw deal from the managerial perspective ever since getting out of baseball. He's not a big one to conform to other people's way of doing things. I mean, he was like that as a player. It was just very, very hard for him to, kind of follow that Yankee way. He really took a lot for him to and then he became the leader that he was for that team. He was a great player for years and the team just was not good. And he worked his whole career to get that team to a level where as soon as he left, it took off from there.
Right.
So he felt it from that end. Since he's been a manager, the Dodgers, they've always well, you're not Joe Torre, you're not Tommy Lasorda, you're not good enough, but still better than what the alternatives are out there, and I think they need to appreciate him a little more. You know, the Yankees just never really wanted to give Mattingly the reins there, and, you know, he ended up out in L.A. It's a hard thing to understand really why it hasn't clicked for him. I think L.A. should really just sit down with him and say, look, you're our guy. Give them the stamp of confidence, the vote, you know, the stamp of approval, the vote of confidence, and look at where this team was and where they are now. They turned the corner this season and changed from early in the year when it was just going south in a hurry to getting just a couple games from the World Series. I don't think anything that in his managerial style during the playoffs really hurt them. I just think they were just outpitched. They came out on the short end.
I don't get it. I know the team didn't show up for Game 6. I don't know if they're still sleeping. That was just, I will say that was a terrible performance by the Dodgers in Game 6.
Yeah, it's always tough when the last game of the year is just like even with Leland.
Terrible.
I mean, he quit right after that game. It was just like he just was still seething and upset from the way it ended. And
well, I can't blame Leland. I mean, that bullpen probably drove him crazy.
Yeah.
The poor guy was probably having heart palpitations watching that bullpen. But yeah, and Mattingly, I don't get it. I don't know what it is with Mattingly. I don't know if it's because he's very unassuming. I really don't understand why guys just, you know, seemingly just mess with him. Like, you know, like he's the bullied guy. You know what I'm saying? He's like that guy that gets bullied. The Yankees, in my opinion, did him wrong. You know, Joe Torre was, after Joe Torre, I don't care. When Joe Torre was fired, I don't want to hear this. No, he got fired, okay?
Yeah.
After Torre was fired, okay, really, Torre's handpicked guy was Mattingly.
Sure.
And I think Mattingly kind of thought it was an unwritten or unspoken notion that he was going to be the next Yankee manager. I mean, he's Don Mattingly, for crying out loud. And they brought him in for 2 interviews. And I'm sure Don Mattingly was probably sitting in there with Cashman like, Brian, really? You're interviewing me? For what? I'm Don Mattingly. Really? I'm Don Mattingly. You're going to interview me for the job as a manager? Really? And they bring in Girardi, which, okay, he's been a great hire. I can't kill him there. But still, he got done wrong. Then he was luckily he went to L.A. with Torre, and then Torre again handpicked him. And this time the Dodgers actually held up their end of the bargain and gave him the job. And now Magic Johnson's coming in here, and it's like all year the guy had to deal with, we're going to fire him. He had this around his head. It was in the media. He had to deal with this hoopla stuff all year. He had to deal with it. And he gets to the NLCS. They go on a great run without Matt Kemp, their best player, who honestly, I mean, he killed them, to be completely honest with you. Matt Kemp killed that team all year. He's supposed to be their best player, and he, I guess he decided to take a vacay. I don't know what happened. He can't stand hey, Matt, how about stretching, buddy? You ever heard of hamstring stretches? I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe you and Jose Reyes need to go see a 6th grade gym teacher. They'll teach you how to stretch your hamstrings, okay? But nevertheless, Arian Foster, for that matter, too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, thanks for killing my fantasy team, buddy. But anyway, but, and now this guy, they're not going to give him a contract. Why not? Who are you going to bring in? I smell what the Dodgers are doing here. They're going to bring in Dusty Baker. I can see it right now. Dusty Baker's a former Dodger. I can see it now. They're going to bring in Dusty Baker, another loser, by the way.
Big mistake if they do that.
I just see it. I bet you that's what they're up to. They're gonna create this thing, this rift, and they're gonna say, oh, well, Don, these are the terms of the con. This is our offer, yada yada. And they're basically going to do what the Yankees did to Torre. Make him an offer, he's going to refuse. And then Mattingly is going to refuse it and then leave. He'll be out, and they'll bring in Dusty Baker. I could totally see that happening with the Dodgers. But anyway, enough with that L.A. liberal, drama going on over there. I've seen enough of CNBC. MSNBC.
Get it right there. Mr. Fox News.
Fox News. That's all crap. But anyway, let's get to the World Series here. A rematch of the 2004 World Series. I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox here. I just think they got something here. They're almost a team of destiny. I like the makeup of the team. They're a gritty team. They never say die. And I like the fact they also have home field, which I think is going to be big for them. I really like them. I think the Cardinals are not going to be a pushover, though. I don't think they're going to sweep them by any means. When you talk about the pitching, the hot pitching they have, especially with the young man Michael Wacha, who was the NLCS MVP. They got a hell of an offense. I think it's going to be a good series, but I see the Boston Red Sox winning it and bringing home another World Series to Boston, which I can't believe I'm saying. 10 years ago, if we were going to say the Red, as Ruggs rolls his eyes, Ruggs, parentheses, eyes rolling. In my opinion, the Boston Red Sox bring home their third World Championship in 10 seasons. Ruggies, what do you got?
Well, I think it's going to be a 4-game sweep. I really do. I think the Red Sox win it in 4. Excuse me while I'm sick here, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to throw the gauntlet down to the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm just going to put it this way. Win this series, show up, because you're rapidly turning into the 1990s Braves. You're always here. You got to win one of these things. Stop showing up every year and coming up empty. You have a real chance with the starting pitchers you have to make this a competitive series, but I just don't see it happening. I'm tired of the Cardinals always being in it. If you're not going to win, it's one of those things. Get out of the way. I think the Dodgers series would have been more compelling, and they would have had a much better chance to win it. I really think this was kind of the worst series that could have gotten out of the 4 teams that were left. I thought it would have been much more interesting with it being especially if it had ended up being the Dodgers and Sox. That would have been. I thought it would have been a much better rating series and a much better, more intrigue, but
bigger market. I'm sure Fox wanted that as well. I'm sure they did.
Yeah, all
bigger
I could
market
say to
too.
Exactly, and all I could say to the Cardinals is prove me wrong. Go out there, make it a 7-game thriller, and beat them, because I'm tired of hearing them. I got to be honest with you. I'm tired of hearing the Red Sox fans.
No, the Red Sox fans. Yeah, I'm just tired of hearing I'm just tired of seeing the Cardinals. I
am too. It's like,
they're just so sanctimonious. I mean, they did win that World Series that they shouldn't have won 2 years ago against Texas. Yeah, it's just the same old story.
I forgot a year in there. Sorry, Cardinals fans.
Oh yeah.
They still remind me of the 90s Braves, though.
Yeah, well, but I'm with you on that. They do remind me of the 90s Braves because they're always in it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, last week I went into it ad nauseum about how great the Cardinals are, and they are. I mean, like I said, they're developmental.
Yeah, and the organization is great.
The organization's a great organization, yada, yada. The great players, yada, yada, yada. I'm just tired of seeing the Cardinals. It's like, okay, we get it, you're great, but unfortunately, like I said last week, and I'm going to say again today, we probably got to get used to this with the Cardinals, because I think they're, like I said, they got a couple young guys coming in the minors. They're only going to get better, the Cardinals, which is scary. They're going to replace Carlos Beltran. They're going to bring in Oscar Tavares, who's a minor league stud. So it's like, okay, yet again, look at they with Pujols. Say, okay, bye Albert. We'll just bring in Alan Craig. The guy, a 100 monster at first base. So it is what it is. I'm just tired of seeing the Cardinals. I get it. You guys are great. Oh, we're so nice. We're Cardinal fans. They're so sanctimonious. Like, I saw this old lady cheering like behind the dugout, and I'm like, lady, you've seen your team win 11 championships. What are you? Try something tough. Go bake some cookies, will you? Do something. Wow. Come on, Cardinals. Enough. And you know what? I'm with Ruggs. Please sweep the Cardinals. Let's go Sox.
Well, what would you rather, Ruggs? I'm calling you Ruggs. I'm so bent out of shape about this series. Zuki, what would you rather have for if it was your organization or your team? Would you rather be like the Cardinals and be there every year and, not make a big impression, not win it? Or would you rather be the Red Sox, go through Bobby Valentine and the clubhouse drinking antics and all that stuff, fall off the map, and then come back and like every 3 or 4 years win a title? I almost say the way they're doing it, so what, they implode every couple of years, they're going to be back and right in the mix. It's that's a fair, like that's the better way to go.
That's a fair question. I mean, hey, I'm a Red Wing fan in hockey, and that's kind of the same thing with the Red Wings. They're in it every year,
But they had a string of some titles going there,
right? They've
won through the 90s.
They've won 4 Stanley Cups, since '97. But they've also had, I could count on both hands the disastrous, heartbreak, including last year, heartbreaking disappointments in the playoffs. I could write a book on it. So you're right in that respect. You do get a championship sprinkled in there, but you get a ton of postseason disappointments, and that's what the Cardinals tend to do. They win a title, and then they have a couple years there where they're in it, they lose, and then they have then they win a title, and then they have 4 years when they're in the playoffs, they lose again. Yeah, honestly, I being a Met fan, I wouldn't even know what it's like to be a Cardinal fan, to be in the playoffs almost every year in, year out, being competitive. I don't know what that is. That feeling's foreign to me. So I almost would like to be the Red Sox. Because I'm more used to that. It's an easier transition for me.
The organization part of it's great, but the organization doesn't play on the field. The players play on the field. So the organization will get you there every year, but you got to have the certain type of tough-minded players that are going to be edgy enough to win these games and not just get there.
Boston has it. I like that group of guys with the beards. They have a good team unity. I like Boston to win the series. I like them in like 6. I'll give the Cardinals a couple games. The Cardinals will definitely win a couple games here. They're a good team. They're a good baseball team.
I mean, if Waka gets 2 starts and is brilliant in both of them, I could see it maybe going to 6. If the Cardinals don't get one of the first 2, I think it's 4 and done. Yeah, just like
could be
9 years ago.
And the only thing I will say is if they go back to St. Louis, Ortiz is not DHing. There's no DH.
It is a factor.
So I mean, they still have Napoli at first. The team is still really good, but it's like can't put Napoli in unless you make Napoli catch and Ortiz at first, which you never know. Farrell might actually do it, especially like you said. If it's 1-1 going back to St. Louis, you might see that, and it's like a must win. I could definitely see that. They might say, "Hey, Napoli, get behind the plate, and we got to put Poppy at first to get his bat in the lineup." So that's one of the reasons. And like I said, St. Louis' pitching is pretty good, and like I said, St. Louis is a gritty team too. I mean, Matt Carpenter, and they're a gritty team. They're a gritty group as well. I think it'll be a good series, but like I said, I just like Boston. I think Boston's really good. I think they're going to do it, especially with Koji Uehara coming out of the bull. That guy's on some kind of magic carpet ride. It's unbelievable. It's like he's the Asian Mariano Rivera this year.
Bullpens are going to be huge in this series.
I like it. I like Boston.
All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for our show this evening. We enjoyed, again, bringing it to you, as we always do.
Yeah.
Yeah, my partner, Zook, does a great job as always.
Oh, thanks. You're not bad either, partner.
Thank you, sir. And look for us on our YouTube channel, Zuki and Ruggs Show, and our Facebook page, the Zuki and Ruggs Show Facebook page. Go and like us there, and hopefully you'll subscribe to the channel. We'll be talking to you again soon. Now we're bringing this to you on All Noise Radio and allnoiseradio.com. Good night.
Good night.
Listless? Can't always get the engine started? Get back into the game with 5-Hour Energy. 5-Hour Energy will reinvigorate you without giving you that crashing feeling. Take advantage of every day by using 5-Hour Energy. Use it in the morning after a tough night, in the afternoon when you hit the wall, or at night when you have that loving feeling. 5-Hour Energy, found at many locations, including your local drug or convenience store.